back to our close meeting. Here it means about issues of life, and then you make constructive adjustments. Moving forward, I have with me Auntie Rachel, Damaris, and Harriet to discuss another very important topic. Usually, when people are in a relationship, somewhere, they see lots of red flags. They gloss over such red flags, and no more hope we are. The person will change. Usually, they don't change, and so today we are going to discuss this issue. This is warrior. What you are is amplified 10 times over. So when you do a relationship with one person somewhere, and I say, oh, you be on one pair. Immediately, you have to either crash it out or quit with the relationship. You're going to tell Auntie Rachel.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening. We thank God for another day. Red flags are very important indicators in relationships. Helps us to know whether to proceed or withdraw from the relationship. There are two types of red flags. One that you can live with, one that you cannot cope with at all. Everyone has got his or her issues. I mean, we are all not perfect and we cannot be perfect. And so there are certain red flags which we find in relationships. You can cope with it. The very common one, laundry basket there, and they will decide not to put it inside the laundry basket. They will leave it around. I mean, these ones, you should be able to cope with them because it's very common with marriages. But there are some red flags which you cannot cope with, okay? Like a man, a womanizer, someone who tells lies. When you are in a relationship with a liar, it's something you cannot go far with. There will be no trust. And so with such relationships, you should not proceed.
Thank you very much, Auntie Rachel. The red flags, there are two kinds. One, you can cope with, humanizing. That one, don't think they will change. Let's just let it go. Okay. You, Auntie Damaris. Yes. Okay. Auntie Damaris, what's your take on it too?
I'll just continue from where Lady Rachel ended. People can change, but people only change when they really want to change. Changing is not an easy thing to do. I believe that's why Lady Rachel is saying that when you see certain red flags you can't cope with, it is best you advise yourself. You can't cope with in the event that they don't change. So we don't enter when you're in a relationship and you see certain red flags. You don't continue into marriage hoping that they will, basing your person will change. No, you rather ask yourself that with this particular attitude, if the person doesn't change, can I still live with the person? As a woman, can I still submit? As a man, can I still love her? Can I still marry well with this attitude? If the answer is no, then you are best not to proceed. People do change, but because changing is very difficult, we don't often see people changing. We rather see people's attitudes being magnified in marriage. And so if the person is a liar, as Rachel was saying, maybe telling little fibs here and there and trying to, keep it at bay and all that. In marriage, I mean, the person will it will blossom and it will be, clear lies, fat lies. In marriage, the person is not under pressure to impress you anymore. And even if the person will get tired because now you're living with the person morning, afternoon, and evening. So whatever attitudes people have and you see during your courtship time, know that in marriage, most of these attitudes will be magnified, will be like times 100, times 1,000. And can you deal with it? If you can't deal with it, I would advise you not to continue.
Wow. Okay. So Auntie Damaris is basically saying the same thing Auntie Rachel said. Small things that you think you are seeing, can you deal? If you can't deal, because they will not stop. They'll be amplified. Harriet, please what's your take on it too?
So I was looking at what red flag is, and from what I saw, or say red flag is something your partner does that indicates a lack of respect, integrity, or interest towards the relationship. So anything that the person, your partner, the person that you are in the relationship is doing, that shows a disrespect to you and the relationship, or lack of integrity or lack of interest in the relationship, no, can be considered as a red flag. I mean, individually, we all have our differences. Some kind of attitude that we picked up when we were growing up, or maybe based on the fact that our environment in which we grew up. Like Rachel said, some men will leave their boxes, some will leave their pace and those things. Maybe it's the environment that they grew up. And those things mostly are not issues because they are things that can be managed. You see that the person is not doing it consciously, but when the red flags are things that you know that in the long run is going to affect the relationship. It's something that you cannot change, or something that the person you cannot change, the person is not willing to change, and in the long run is going to affect the relationship. And here, the effect on the relationship is usually negative. If the person has a controlling behavior, you can see it's a red flag. Now we are seeing a lot of people that are going through problems in their marriages because either the husband and anywhere, even if the wife will talk to somebody, they may have to ask permission from them. There is no freedom. There is no, you can't be yourself. The person is controlling. These things, you pick it up during the relationship. And these are some of the things you need to look at. For example, another example is insecurity. Somebody who is insecure in themselves. You are in a relationship with someone and the person is so insecure. If you talk to somebody, the person feels threatened. If you smile with somebody, the person is asking you questions. Why did you smile with the person? When you were going, this person looked at you some way. I didn't like it. So the person is so insecure in themselves. You are in a relationship and this is going on. It's a red flag. When you get married, just like Damaris said, it's going to get bigger. It's going to get bigger. And so these are some of the red flags. We can talk about a lot of them that we gloss over.
Example, Auntie Harriet has given excellent examples: domineering, possessive, insecurity, disrespect. So we are going to go to Auntie Damaris and Auntie Rachel to tell us some of the red flags that you can see. Then from there we can now come and ask why people actually even gloss over these.
Gloss over them. Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So Auntie Damaris.
Oh, okay. In addition, number one, insecurity. And insecurity shows itself up in so many ways. It shows itself up in a domineering person. It shows itself up in a jealous person. And I mean, in relationships, there's always a level of jealousy, but there are acceptable limits. That's when you go beyond, it becomes a red flag. And then there's also complex. Sometimes it's superiority complex. People you are dating with and their mindset is like they are doing you a favor. And then there's also the inferiority.
The narcissists. They are narcissists.
And then they don't see you as a partner. They don't see you as an equal. They always want you to understand that you are low there and then they are up there. And then there's also the inferiority complex. People who are not sure in themselves. And you see this thing through people who are excessively materialistic. They're always buying. They're always trying to make up for their insecurities or their complexes by always being in tune with latest fashion trends, always, because they have a complex, and they feel that the only way they can feel good about themselves is when they have more. All these things are signs of people with complexes. And if they are not addressed, if the persons don't work on it and you enter into marriage with them, it comes up in many forms. Such a person, it will be difficult to plan financially with such a person. Because whilst you are thinking of saving, the person is also thinking of buying the next watch, buying the next bag, and all that. So these are some of the things I would mention.
Aunt Rachel.
Yes, I'm here.
What would you add? You started with cheating and lying. So what else would you add for people to look out for?
Many of the things that happens lately is over possessiveness. As most of the men or women in relationship now, they think that they possess a relationship with them. You cannot do anything on your own. And even what you set out to do yourself, as in what you want to become, they think that no, you cannot toe that line anymore. Once you are with me, you have to do what I like. And some of these things you need to be very, very careful when you are in a relationship, because fine, you are in a relationship, but you must have your own agenda. Okay, wherever you are planning, whatever you are planning to be, you should become with or without that person. Okay, so this person comes in, help you, or you help yourselves to go the way you want to go, but not to maybe change your course. My mother always tells me that she would have become a professional caterer if not for my daddy, because my daddy was so possessive that he didn't want his wife all over the place. I'm looking for my wife and my wife is working, He wants to come back from work and always see the wife at home. Because of that, she has been a housewife since, so that my mother up till now is not happy about that thing. She always complains, you need to provide certain things for yourself. And if you are not capable, it's very, very miserable. We also talk about friends, the way we bring in our relationship. Some of our partners, unnecessarily bring in friends in the relationship, so that it's as if everything that happens in the relationship, the friends knows about it. I think it's another red flag we should look out for and be very, very careful. There are certain things it should be done within the two of you. And so when you realize that your partner is bringing in friends, outside parties, they are making the relationship a crowd, okay? And relationships are so private. You cannot bring in people. You can't bring in third parties. There are certain things you should learn to discuss it between the two of you, because there are times, once you get married, once you leave the courtship, the boyfriend, girlfriend stage, it becomes a different ball game altogether. And so when you see that your partner is bringing in friends, please, we need to be very, very cautious. Don't allow it. Don't. Your partner is bringing in friends, third parties, when you go out, maybe you cry, oh, now you didn't come say, oh, and you're fine, and you're fine. Don't allow it until you make sure. So then you leave the relationship, because then it means that before you know, it will be outside there. Red flags we should look out for and be careful about it.
I had this friend that, no, only guy did it. Just say, I sent piano, I catch any papa, I catch any mommy, I catch any friend, I catch any cousin. Now you're friend, girl. Now we a guy we say, why did you do that? The guy was like, what is this? So we're like, can you cope with this? Can you really cope with this? She was always in tears, like she was always worried. So she would have settled. We asked her, can you deal with this? Can you deal with it? So do they see it? Don't hear it. Please help us with that.
I think 90% of the time you will see, you will know. It's just that maybe you will not accept it or you will misinterpret it. And even the ones that you don't see, if you're a child of God, you know, the Holy Spirit will give you a leading in your spirit concerning certain things. There are things that you may become uncomfortable with. So if you put the two together, then I will say that you will see it. You know, you will see it most of the time, unless a long distance relationship, yes, that you are not having the chance to meet. And no crown, like I said, if you are a child of God, you know, or if you are somebody who is in tune with the Spirit of God or the leading of the Holy Spirit, there are certain things that, just like we discussed the other time, God can even reveal to you. But apart from long distance relationship, if you have the face-to-face relationship, you see it. The other way I want to when I say, maybe someone introduces you and you don't really date. So there's an introduction and there's a marriage. So you don't really get to know a lot about the person. Those things also do happen. So those ones you may not see a lot of these things, even one or two will be or insecure there. When it's not even 1 or 2 days, you know, we will be there. Okay. But you may not see a lot. But given a normal relationship dating there, I think you see it.
To add to what Lady Harriet said, one of the things that the world use as an excuse
Answer the marriage
to try to leave. Pardon?
Do you think we see it all the time?
Yes, I'll come to that. But I wanted to make the point that because we believers do not believe in cohabiting before you marry or sleeping in a man's house before you marry, the world wants to use this as an excuse. Exactly. You realize that the world always advocates for, we can be a no akodi you know. Yes. And that is why I'm really happy with Lady Harriet's submission about being in tune with the Spirit of God. Because there are some things that even when you live with a person and you are not led, but you will not see. You will not see. And the other side of the thing too is that, you know, courtship is a time of work. Unfortunately, we or most of us think that courtship is just a fun time. Party way. People should know that we are dating. You draw pictures. You just say. Meanwhile, that is the time that you should open your eyes and study the person. You see, our elders say that suban to say nyinseng. It will come out. It will come out in the person's speech. It will come out in the person's reactions. Sometimes certain scenarios that you even bring out in conversations, you would hear some of the things that the person believes in, his real character, you would see it. So we are talking about opening your eyes and understanding that courtship is a time of work, and then to relying on the Spirit of God. You will definitely see.
Thank you. Auntie Rachel, Auntie Eric, we see, but do we see?
Yes, we see. We see. Now, you can say, love is blind. And marriage is the eye opener. During courtship, you will find some of these things and we see it. but there are some you can leave money. But there are some and so you must either back out or some we cannot change the human beings. It is only God that changes a person. So it's also time when you time 15 years. 30 years. If you are no the lifetime. It is a wood now
and we see them. Yeah, we can't pretend. So now the question is, why, apart from the way, so why do we gloss over this? I want to understand the psychology. Why? But your Auntie Damara, she's starting with you.
One of the reasons why we gloss over it, change, you said it already. But another reason is because of, I would say, societal pressures that sometimes we find ourselves with. And so sometimes we meet a man or we meet a woman and we are seeing all the things, but we feel that if we let the person go, we will end up being single for life. A lady I befriended, she's a Christian. I befriended this gentleman who is fornicating with her, actually is demanding, and she's also availing herself in that regard. And she knows what she's doing is wrong. She knows the guy will take her nowhere. But she says her fear is that if she doesn't take the gentleman like that, she may end up not marrying at all. She knows she needs to get out, but she doesn't have the willpower to go because of some of these or the thoughts and the fear that if we don't take them like that, we will end up not marrying at all.
Rachel.
Okay, and I will add that by saying some people also find it difficult. They think that going out they will lose, especially the monetary advantages that they get from the relationship. And so near cost will be and fun of it. And also is killing people because of Felicia being given may not need to work on her own. They are just courting, but as someone partners need be near be at the partners need between the parents, no of the other party. We just wonder why would this person, lower him or herself in relationship like that? It is all because of these kind of benefits. This gentleman has lived with this lady for God knows the number of years. Guy no move they have money. Lady no family affected. The insults, guy, the way of bragging, and some of these benefits they get in relationship. They don't even think ahead. Boy, no mercilessly one day will feel one I mean, you can imagine all these things. All this because of monetary, and not one kasankasa, you are not at peace. One kasankasa who said, then what's the point?
Okay. Auntie Harriet, what do you also have to say now? Wrap up.
Well, I think that Maris and Rachel have said it all. But the young people, one of the things that also loneliness and age started with, or he started with, they are all married and they are not having time for them. So the social network are very limited. And then the more people around you get married and you are single, the more you see that vacuum, say, that you've gotten there and you need to fill it up. And now to a lot of men, who are not, if you don't get a godly man, they want to have a relationship without commitment. And so sometimes one gets to the point, do I have to get Mr. Perfect? Should everything be 100%? They've accepted the fact that relationships are not okay 100%. So maybe if they gloss over it, they endure it, they will become used to those things. And at the end of the day, when they get married, she or he will have his home or her home. And at least to the outside world, she's married, which is sometimes becomes the focus or the most important thing, not really looking at the aftermath.
What you give us a fun advice?
From all that we have said, the first thing that you need to do is, if you are not a child of God, if you have not given yourself to Jesus, is the first thing you need to do. Because no matter the things that we have said, there are some people who are so crafty that they'll be able to hide some of these things. It takes only the Spirit of God to reveal them to you. And to have a personal relationship with this God, so that even when you are blind, where you cannot see, the Holy Spirit that sees beyond everything can see, and he can draw your attention and can lead you. Then when the ones that you can see, please don't use any of the reasons that we have mentioned to enter into any relationship, especially marriage, because it will cost you.